Welcome back to the ReEducation Camp podcast. Karen O'Toole, joined by the intelligent, the curious, the I'm trying to think of some more adjectives. I think maybe I'm going to crowdsource them. So leave your comments. I want some. I'm going to be introing us from now on. So please leave some good adjectives. But the always punctual Colin Miller is with me today.
Hey, as long as one of the adjectives isn't doughy, like which is how I feel these days, that's really all I care about.
Well, we're going to get into Doe in a second. We do have coming up. We actually have real comments from people that are not forced to listen to us. So we're going to get into some of those comments a little later. We're going to respond to them. We got some horoscopes coming up for Kamala and Donald J. Trump. And also Groyper War 2. Big issues going on right here as we're heading into this extremely hot election season. But first up, we do want to talk about one comment because you just mentioned about being doughy. And I know one of the things that is contributing to this, I guess, like derailment of your health journey has been these fat boy ice cream sandwiches. I'm just going to bring these
Yes.
up. Hopefully, I can imagine that the people of Fat Boy in Utah would closely align with many of our beliefs. And I believe that they should be sponsoring the show because Colin has been talking about these fat boys, and we had some commenters, and I found out like my whole family, all my cousins are addicted to these things. So they're really taking on the nation right now. And so I had to get some because people commented on the show last week how great these were, and I hadn't had them before. So
And all blame goes to my mother. I went over my folks' house for like 4th of July and she had these fat boys and I had
yeah.
never heard of them. And the next thing you know, I'm at Publix in the Winn-Dixie down here looking for BOGOs on Fat Boys. I recently got the cookies and cream Fat Boys, which are like on a whole other level, but they've become a sort of heroin to me, and they've really become a very dangerous element in my household, in my life. So I'm trying to refrain from consuming them these days. But is this going to be right here on air? Is this going to be your
This
first
is going to be
ever
first. Yeah.
fat boy?
Yeah. And we're not
Wow.
trying to turn the show into like one of these weird voyeurism things where people we watch this.
They're watching
We
us eat. They're
watch,
watching us like
we're
do, brush our teeth, just like normal like household activities. Yeah, I
we're
know
gonna
what you're
be
getting
we're
at.
gonna be like one of Andrew Tate's call girls, just sitting here stuffing our faces with Fat Boy.
If only we were so lucky,
If
quite
only, but you
frankly.
know what? If that's what it takes to get out of the rat race, the 9 to 5, I think Colin and I are more than happy to
It's a
just sit
no-brainer.
here and eat.
To escape the matrix, it's a no-brainer, okay?
So I decided to go with a pure Fat Boy. And when you were describing these to me, and when I heard about them, I just thought that they were like a Blue Bunny or like a Haagen-Dazs brand. But it seems like Fat Boy is actually, it's like Casper's ice cream. And like you said, there were other options. There was like, I believe there was a caramel one, but definitely that caught my eye. I did see cookies and cream, but I had to be pure. I just want to show this again so that so for people that really gets your rocks off to
The
see.
oh, look at that creamy vanilla
Yeah.
texture that Karen's gonna be indulging in
Yes, but it's so this is
momentarily.
just the premium vanilla. I do want to give a shout out to the Fat Boy Junior. This is a Fat Boy Junior. So I'm not going to devour an entire thing. But I have to say too, I mean, I'm really selling this. I feel like I'm on QVC right now as I hold it, except for my nails aren't done because I never get my nails done. Um, because I'm poor. But so I'm not really
I,
poor. Don't feel bad for me. But I mean, like you
we're
could
we're
send us
actually very
money.
wealthy. We're extremely wealthy individuals that just do this podcast for fun,
For fun,
because
yeah. I
we
mean,
love what we do.
technically we do it for fun right now because Fat Boy has not sponsored us. BetterHelp is not, as much as we've attempted at these endeavors. But they have a junior, and this is only 110 calories. So I just
Not
I
bad.
feel like if you're really jonesing, it's been a really hot summer on the East Coast. So I feel like, if
It's been a
you're
cruel
just
summer,
jonesing, it's
you
gonna be
might
a
say.
cruel, banana rama, not Taylor Swift.
No.
Um, like I said, like it's been hot. So if you just want like a little something and just here we go, here we go. It's a little melted because somebody was a little late getting to the show.
Well, that's par for the course, though. So
So I don't think I'm gonna eat the whole thing, but I'm gonna take a bite. I'm probably gonna have, all right, here we go. Ready. Are you ready? Is this and get some
thoughts?
ASMR AS. That is
What do
really
you
good. Actually, I need another bite.
what do you
I
think of the
wasn't gonna.
chocolate part? That's almost my favorite part of the Fat Boy is like the chocolate sandwich part. I just love the texture of it.
I
I feel like
agree.
the and
Oh,
what do you
well,
think of the ice cream in the middle? I feel like it's like the perfect consistency. It's the perfect thickness.
yeah, it's not like too sweet. I would say the cream in the center, like it gets, how you have like that the icing, or you have those it just tastes like artificial and synthetic. This tastes
Yeah.
actually creamy, like you can actually taste the milk. And it also, the cookie, I was gonna say, almost tastes like a chocolate graham cracker, like a soft
Yes.
chocolate graham cracker. And I'm gonna do as they do in QVC, a little happy dance.
And as you said,
He
like
does
you
like
can
a smile.
tell it it feels like you're indulging in a dairy
Yeah.
product like the ice
Mm-hmm.
cream. Like you can reassure yourself that this came from an actual cow on a farm somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and, and you said that these are made in Utah. That I actually did not know. And Utah, I mean, they're a fairly conservative state, right? So I feel like they may align with a lot of the views that we espouse on this
Yes.
podcast. Not even that we necessarily consider ourselves a quote unquote conservative podcast, but many of our
Free
views are
thinkers.
more
Yeah.
little more
A
to the
little skewed.
right,
I mean, if
perhaps.
they support BDS, or if they support Palestine, or they support Israel, whatever Big Boy wants us to do, we'll do at this point.
Yeah, seriously, I can change my views, at the drop of a hat if there's enough zeros on, on the check. You know what
We
I'm
are
saying?
kidding. We are kidding. That is not, I mean, we're kind of Colin, I don't
Uh, eh, eh, we're we're saying that we're flexible in terms of the messaging if the right deal came along.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. Like if you we could we could have some conversations. We're open to ideas is how we
Correct.
feel. But I hope that all of you enjoyed me indulging myself in a little treat. I will say my birthday was just this past Thursday, so I think that I deserved a little treat for my birthday celebration.
You
So
deserve a little treat every day,
I
I
pretty
think.
much
Like,
I'm a little treat every day kind of girl. I definitely am. I totally agree with you. Like you
because
need
what's the point of
something.
living, really? If
Amen.
you can't have a little treat every day, then why the hell? Like, what are we even doing here? What is all this?
You're right. You're absolutely right. That like you said, and that goes to like I was this was a thought I was having this week, and I don't know if you similarly felt this way. And I promise we're gonna get into Graper War too for all of our grapers out there.
All of our
Um,
political
all of our
aficionados.
yes, yeah, because they know we're experts.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was thinking this week about, and to kind of jump off of your little tree comment, like what is the point, that there was like a major offensive launched in the Kursk region in Russia. Like Ukraine's like really up the ante. The stock market was like in shambles on Monday. Everybody thought that this was the beginning of like a huge recession. The Nikkei in Japan was down to one of the worst numbers since like the 1980s.
Yeah, since the
There was
80s.
just so much calamity, it seemed like, at the beginning of the week. We thought Iran was going to do an all-out assault on Israel that
To
would,
be determined.
yes, to be D. That's still kind of like in the air. But I really felt like on Monday, it was the beginning of my birthday week. I am in favor of birthday weeks. If you want to do birthday months, I'm in favor of that as well. Colin and I both share August birthdays. And if we want to make this a whole, I go for the week. I go for the week because it's I guess the whole month is a little extra.
See, I
That's a
barely even
little
celebrate my birthday, to be honest
okay.
with you. The
Okay.
way I look at it, it's like, okay, so I was born 35 years ago on this day. So were a lot of other people. What makes me so special that I need to start shoving sweets down my throat? However, maybe I should change up that ideology a little bit because, like you said, there's a lot of instability in the world right now, and I feel like I need to have I'm trying to get myself on like a 5-year plan where I really get myself together so that by the time I'm 40, I look like Andrew Tate basically, and I'm like smoking cigars and silk pajamas and have big pectoral muscles. And no, not really like that, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I want
just
to
so that
be
you start moving in that direction, kind of like the Chinese Communist Party does like their 50-year plan where they plan
yes,
out the economy. So you are trying to plan out the economy and lifestyle of Colin in for the next 5 years. And I think there's something to be said of that. But here's the only problem. There's so much it's almost hard. You sit there and you think, okay, so are we going to have to change all of our currency into Fed coins? I'm trying to save money. I'm
likely.
trying to invest. Is this all going to be valueless? Like, is there any point to this? And like you said about the little treats, I feel like we do need some little treats here and there to get us through because as I said on Monday, I started the week thinking I was like depressed. I couldn't even handle the news on Monday. It was so overwhelming between Iran and the stock market. I think those were the two big ones. Was really Iran and the stock market. And I'm just trying to enjoy my birthday week, live it up, and as you said, try. It feels almost futile making plans, and I think that that's a lot of us have like this defeatist mindset because like you said, like we're trying to work for these Fed dollars that are worthless
Yeah,
or like
this fiat
inherently
trash
yeah.
that is it's literal trash, just fake made up digits that are transferred into a bank account that we
Yeah.
see on an LCD screen. And this is what our whole world revolves around, just so we can have a stupid roof over our head and have a full belly and be able to feed our cats and or dogs.
Yeah.
Like this is what we have to prostitute ourselves to these corporations for these fake digits. I've had it up to here with it.
Well, the other concept too, like sometimes I think about how you have people like Mark Zuckerberg, like Elon Musk, and I know that a lot of their wealth is tied up in the valuations of their companies and their assets. But nonetheless, like sometimes I just like start thinking about those numbers and it makes me feel like you said, like even more so like how it feels like unicorns and rainbows. Like it just doesn't. And I sit there and I think to myself, like, why am I only making the tens of thousands when they are playing in the tens of billions? And I just don't quite understand like the discrepancy here where we're all like, but I almost feel like it is going to get worse. Like it's just going to be like, especially with AI, like we're basically us plebeians are going to just be kept around as entertainment, like as forms of entertainment for the wealthy masses. Like I'm not even the wealthy masses, the wealthy minority, truly.
We're gonna be on the floating recliners with our big bellies, and we're gonna have the little Apple goggles on, and we're just gonna be on our hover recliners with our big bellies, with our feet stretched out, and that's gonna be that that's really gonna be our life, our existence pretty soon.
Yeah, and that is why we are endorsing having little treats to just get your mind off of the recessions and the wars and the famines and the missiles
And
and,
the re-education
and the
camps that we're going to be
re-education
sent
and
to
the
under Officer Madame President Officer Harris.
oh yeah, so that leads us into talking about Kamala Harris. You were saying before we jumped on that there's a lot of conservatives that are kind of questioning some of these events that Harris is holding around the country. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, listen, there are I follow a lot of these conservative pro-Trump MAGA accounts pretty closely on X, and I feel like a lot of them are really in denial about what's going on in the Trump campaign right now. And from an outside perspective looking in, if you compare the Trump campaign right now to what it was in 2015 and 2016, the messaging, the rhetoric, the vibes, it really is a far cry from what it started out as. And I feel like a lot of these conservative influencers online are totally in denial about the trouble that the Trump campaign is in right now. Their attitude is just sort of like, oh, don't worry about it, we're winning, the polls are fake. Kamala, her crowds are AI. The only reason that people are there is because she had a Cardi B or whoever it was, Megan the Stallion. She's got pop stars, rock stars, whatever. They're paying people to go to these rallies. Here's the deal. All of the energy right now has shifted from Trump to Kamala. It's like somebody like came with like a giant funnel and just sucked the energy right out and spit it out into Kamala's lap. And it's almost like this assassination attempt on Donald Trump, Karen, that feels like it was 20 years ago. That doesn't feel
You're
like it was
right.
3 or 4 weeks ago. It feels like it
Yeah.
was 20 years ago, and nobody is talking about it anymore. Well, I shouldn't say that. Conservative influencers are complaining about it online. They're saying like, how could the media ignore this? Donald Trump, he almost had his head blown off on live television. Yeah, he did, and they didn't lean into it at all after that happened. It's almost like the Trump campaign, like the messaging in the campaign itself was to just ignore that and shift to this, oh, we're a big tent now, we're this unity party, and then it's like Trump had the whole world in the palm of his hand after that assassination attempt. And then the RNC happened, and then he announced JD Vance as the VP. And I feel like everybody can see that he sucks now, whether they want to admit it or not. And they're in a lot of trouble because let me show you something. Let me show you something. I don't care if these people were paid or if they're there because of whoever's performing at the intro of the concert. I've got to share this with you here. We're going to look at this right now, all right? Take a look. Take a look here at the size of this crowd. Here's Kamala and her new VP pick, Timmy Walz, getting off of Air Force Two. Look at this. I'm sorry. This if you're trying to say that this is AI or this is fake, you are just in denial right now and you are coping. Look at this. This is a huge crowd for Kamala, I believe in Nevada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it was Las Vegas, right?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, look at that crowd. Yeah.
Come on.
That is
You're
a big crowd.
there is an energy right now. She is having a moment. It's as if everybody forgot, like, her not being able to speak. The conservative side always says like, oh well, Kamala, she's not doing any interviews. She can barely even talk. She's like this cackling, laughing hyena. Yeah. And guess what? She's not going to do any interviews either because they know better than to put her in front of a camera. And optics is everything, man. You saw what I just showed you. It's not fake. It's not AI. People are showing up for Kamala. The I feel like a lot of the white hair demographic is going to be energized by Tim Walz now,
Yeah.
because guess what? I'm sorry, policy aside, I want to preface this by saying I'm not going to be obviously I'm not going to be voting for Kamala. I'm not going to be voting for Kamala, the Kamala Walz
Yeah.
ticket,
But you can have some
because
intellectual honesty and put your own biases aside to look at this objectively. But go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. And here's the deal. When you put Tim Walz and JD Vance side by side, tell me, Karen, who looks like your average everyday guy where, you walk outside of your house in the morning to pick up the paper, you see Timmy Walz across the street, he's coming out too, you give him a wave, he looks like he could be your neighbor. When he talks, he sounds like he is somebody who you would interact with in your community, like a real human being. Now, can you say the same about JD Vance? Be honest with me. Who sounds more like a regular, real human being? Tell me.
Well, I do have to say I found it unique that they decided to both kind of go with like more Midwestern uh candidates. Like they chose both of them kind of like what we call flyover country. Of course, JD Vance from Ohio. We have Walls from Minnesota, who's like that standard, like hokey, homogenous, socialist, like not necessarily social. I don't want to say, I mean, he himself said one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. So I think it's a very white bread Minnesotan Northwestern kind of socialism where they can kind of get away with that and kind of get along with that in Minnesota. I know that Minnesota's becoming a little bit more of a diverse place, but for the most part, it's the same stock and breed for the last since they like found it and settled the state. Whereas that socialism doesn't really, when people aren't as cohesive, you have a lot more demographics going on. Doesn't really work out as much because people don't feel as friendly to the people around them, and they don't want to be neighborly in a sense. They feel, I mean, it's just the truth, right? Like there's, like I said, like people do not feel as cohesive. Like in Minnesota, I feel like, and I've been to Minnesota a handful of times, and I do feel like it's just they have a very unique. It's similar, but the interesting thing about Minnesota is they've enacted a lot of these more progressive policies just in the last like 2 years. And so, really, Minnesota hasn't even played out a lot of these policies. Meanwhile, places like Seattle, Oregon, California have been enacting these more progressive policies and having more of a one party rule for a while. And we've kind of seen the result of that over the years. But also, too, I will say that there is, as I said, about more cohesive. They have like a different. It's a different party exactly in Minnesota. It's like the Democrat Farmers, DNF, I believe it's what it's called. But they also are not yet again because I think it's just more of they don't have as much diversity in the state. So it's not, I feel like some of the policies and some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like some of they're just a little bit more aligned. Whereas like when you're trying to govern a state like California, which is so vast and has one of the biggest economies in the world, I believe population of 35 million people, it's kind of hard for people all over that state to have a more cohesive legislation. But also, too, if you look at Minnesota, if you look at where Walz lost, it was most of the rural states. And I think you had about like, just a handful of counties, which were more of obviously the urban counties are where he was voted for. But that, yet again, is where population centers are. So we see that all around the country. We see that urban rural divide happening. But like I said, going back to that, they both chose candidates that I guess have that like all shucks, or they were attempting to do that with Vance, like that all shucks kind of
He
like
doesn't have
white
that
bread. Yes,
at
yeah.
all. Tim Walz does. That's like my whole point here is that, put the policies aside, this is all about, this campaign is all about optics at this point.
Aren't
You
they all?
have,
Aren't they
yeah,
all really?
yeah, but especially now on the Democrat side, you now have a younger,
Yes,
semi good
amen.
looking female. It
Yes,
doesn't
we
matter if
do.
she's,
We want to put the verdict out here that on the ReEducation Camp podcast, Colin and I both find Kamala to be easy on the eyes. We just want to.
I do. I'm
there are
sorry.
there are times though when I see like pictures of her, I'm like, wow, she is a really good looking woman. And then other times I'm like,
Yeah.
but then there's other pictures where I'm really, I really, I see the beauty of Kamala, and I see what Montel Williams and Willie Brown similarly saw
Oh,
in her.
yeah. Yeah, listen. Yeah, sometimes I feel like she can be a bit of a two-face, to use a Seinfeld term. But I was just looking at a picture
So
of
am
her
I.
yesterday.
So am
I,
I.
me too. But I was looking at a picture of her yesterday. I was looking at like a TikTok video. I'm like, you know what? Kamala really is. She's a good-looking woman. So on the Democrat side, you have a fairly attractive woman. You now have this like folksy sort of woodsy uncle grandpa kind of character. He's waving his hands around, he's charismatic, he's energetic. Whereas, with Vance, I'm speaking about him specifically. A lot of the conservatives are trying to push back against the claim that he is weird. I'm sorry, the guy is weird. He's weird looking. He is. He's objectively weird looking. I'm sorry. And aesthetics is like so important here. It just is. And
I'm just
he
dying because he looks like my brother Pat. Like, we're going to put a side by side of my brother Pat on the next episode, because my brother Pat also has very thick eyelashes that look like he's wearing eyeliner or mascara. So it's an uncanny resemblance. But I love when you say that he's weird looking.
I'm sorry. Put Walz and put Vance side by side. Walz looks like, the old neighbor next door who you would give a wave to as you're driving down the street. Vance just look he's a total Silicon Valley guy. He's a total guy. You can tell that he does not want to be around these people when he's at these rallies. He's not big on interacting with the regular humans. I mean, here's a guy who went to Yale Law. All the goblins go to Yale Law. Your Bushes, your Romneys, etc., and so forth. They all start off at Yale. Peter Thiel's protege, big tech surveillance guy, these deep Silicon Valley connections. And I feel like Trump picked him, knowing that Vance was an anti-Trumper, but in Trump's mind, he's like, man, I have got to get a lot of these Silicon Valley oligarchs on board. I need their cash. I feel like Vance, his inclusion in the ticket is the only reason that Elon Musk gave Donald Trump the endorsement, because they're looking at this potential Trump presidency, these weirdo big tech Silicon Valley guys, as like a gateway to advance their goals of transhumanism and living forever and that sort of thing. So really, they want to use the Trump presidency to further their sort of uh, dare I say, anti-human agenda. That's what I'm seeing here. If you really look into it and examine it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a poor take. I think one of the biggest elements, I really think the key element here, and I do think that Trump tried to pick Vance because of his age. He's a younger guy. I believe he's not even 40, right? He's 39 years old.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
believe
me
so.
feel really pathetic. Like I just turned 34, and Vance is the vice. What have I done with my life? But
He's 40 actually. He turned
oh, he just
40
turned.
on on August 2nd. He was born in August 2nd, 1984. So he's a Leo, right?
Wow, he's an August Leo like me. And I
There you
just
go.
saw a meme that said, "Do never date an August Leo." So, I mean, don't elect an August Leo like myself. And
Could
Vance.
be could be
And
bad for.
Obama too. Obama's August 4th.
There you
But
go.
back to, sorry to get into a little witchcraft. So
That's an element of our show.
yes,
We
that's
we
just
are
an element of our
there's a
show.
tinge of
I'm gonna
witchiness in this
I'm gonna
show.
read, I'm gonna quote the Bible at some point, and then we're gonna talk about witchcraft.
Yeah, it's very contradictory. It's like, as Alex Jones would say, this is a family Christian show, but
This is,
then,
yeah.
we're also going to
Yes.
talk about astrology. So it's just what it
It's
is.
just, yes, just what it is. So I think the biggest element here is, I think that Trump tried to do this with Vance because he is a younger guy. He wanted somebody that could kind of have energy, have that that youthfulness. But I feel like here's the key element. Everyone said when we thought it was going to be a Clinton Bush election back in 2016, everybody had so much chagrin over that, rolled their eyes, thought, "Oh God, here we go, Clinton Bush again. Like, we can't find anything fresh here." Um, and I think that is what's going on right now. It's we all of us were sitting back thinking, like, really, it's just Trump and Biden again. Like, we can't come up with any new ideas. And now we see it's kind of like Hollywood, where they keep putting out these superhero movies, and people are like, "Okay, don't we have any new ideas? Don't we have anything fresh? Don't we have anything original?" And Kamala and Walz feel, and this is, I'm not talking about policy, people. I'm not a fan of Walz. He said that we shouldn't have the First Amendment if if it contradicted information put out by the government. I am not a fan of that. That is like number one for me. I was not happy with that because I love misinformation. But
Ditto. There's
I
nothing
love
more that I love than to spread misinformation online and promote like far out there QAnon type conspiracies. My grandfather was wounded in the Ardennes forest so that I have the ability to do that.
Well,
Thank you
it's not
very
even
much.
misinformation. It's just information that contradicts the government narrative. And I am in favor of contradicting the government. So I think that that is a healthy democracy, should sometimes contradict what we're being told by the powers that be. Like
Unless you're in the UK.
unless you're, yes, yeah, yeah,
Then you're
or they do
gonna
not
wind up
have
in
a First
prison.
Amendment. So anyhow, Walls, I think that he and Kamala, they, whether we are just talking about normies, we're not talking about people that are deeply entrenched on Twitter. Okay. We're not talking about people that spend their lives living and breathing this. We're talking about the people that are likely the person that is right now checking out at an American Eagle, that the person that is at McDonald's, the person that is playing Xbox, like the person that cannot even tell you who JD Vance is, but they see him and they think he might be wearing eyeliner. Like, that is the person that is going to decide this election, not an informed, but a rationally ignorant individual who is more concerned about Cardi B than they are about Kamala's policies. Like, that's just the truth. Those are the people, the undecided, kind of those swing voters, those people in the center, not super polarized on one side or the other, are going to choose the president. And I think that for those people, if you really aren't tuned in, even if you are tuned in a little bit, I think that you sit there and you think, "Oh, this is new. This feels," and you have to understand too, think about it in your own life. Like, the last couple years, I mean, I talked to so many people about how we feel in this post-COVID world. Like, it really feels like between 2019 to today, we are sitting here August of 2024. If you're listening to this from the future after the collapse, it feels as though so much has changed in such a short amount of time. Like, we've had a compounding effect of time, and I don't want to say progress. It more feels like regression
No,
in some
no
ways.
progress
Yeah.
has been made. Believe me, have you taken a look
Yeah.
at our cities in this
Yes.
country? There's
But it
no
feels
high-speed
like,
rail.
yeah, so much has taken place in such a short amount of time. And I do feel like many people are sitting back and they're thinking, I don't want this old anymore. I want something fresh. We need a new perspective. We need something clean and like I said, just crisp. And I feel like that is
And
what
fun.
and
People are looking
fun.
for
Yeah.
fun too. They're
Yeah.
looking for a
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
And right now, Kamala and Walz, they're bringing the fun. They're bringing the energy. They're bringing the party. They got the pop stars. They've got soon to be Taylor Swift. I mean, she has hinted at this that she's going to be given the big endorsement to Kamala. I think she's going to be at the DNC personally. I think
Oh,
Taylor Swift
really?
will be at the DNC in
Whoa.
Chicago. I think that's where she'll make the endorsement. And listen, these Swifties, this is a certified cult here. These young women will do
This is
whatever Taylor Swift tells them to do. So the Trump campaign, the odds are really stacked against them right now. And what do they need to do in order to overcome this? Well, let me share with you here. I just want to share a tweet from an account called ReEducation Camp that is that I
growing in
feel,
popularity. We have a
yeah.
total of 4 followers now.
Hey, listen, we have got more followers than that, Karen. Don't sell us short here.
I think what the Trump campaign needs to do is have Kanye West come out and send his That is the endorsement we really are waiting on. We're not waiting. We know Taylor is in the bag for Kamala. This is not,
Right.
there's no speculation. It's kind of boring. I want to know who Kanye West will be supporting, or I guess it's probably a little bit too late for him to throw his hat in the ring. I would imagine. And
Who?
imagine Kanye West. Yay.
I don't think we're gonna hear
From him at
I
all.
yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna hear a peep
Ever.
from Kanye again. I feel like they have got him
They.
really under yes, they whoever they is, they've
Whoever
really got
they is.
yeah, I don't listen. They've got him under their thumb right now. He's busy parading his beautiful wife
Bianca.
Bianca around half naked everywhere. I don't really ever know if we're gonna see shades of 2022 Alex Jones Kanye again. But here's the whole key. Here's the whole reason why Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. I want to share
Okay.
this tweet and this response with you here. I feel like this really basically sums it up very simply,
Yeah.
eloquently. So can you see here, Karen?
Yes.
So here's this account, Evan Kilgore. There's a lot of dissonance in the right wing movement right now. Many are frustrated in Donald Trump's change in tone, messaging to certain demographics, proposed policies, and condemnation of Project 2025. Be honest. What can Trump do to win back your support? And the ReEducation Camp podcast replied with a very simple answer. We want the populist outsider from 2015, 2016 who rallied against the donor class and the rigged system, not this milquetoast GOP slop.
Slop.
And that is what we're getting right now. That is exactly what we're getting. This Trump campaign, the messaging that we're getting from it right now, what really differentiates it from what Mitt Romney was saying or like what any other establishment GOP Republican is saying? Is there anything that makes it different than your average everyday GOP fare at this point in time? I don't think so.
You hit on a key point there too, because I just read an article before we jumped on while I was waiting a half hour for Colin to exfoliate his face. I was
Listen, I'm a very self-conscious guy. I want to look my best. I want to put on a good
you
presentation for
do,
our
you
audience
do.
here. So
I just had to throw that out
I
there.
know
But
you're really digging into me
I know
today.
I
You're
really
making me
dig. I know.
it's it's like a
It's my
messaging.
birthday weekend.
Yeah, it's almost like a messaging like Colin, you better get
Get
your
your
act
act
together
together. If
next week.
we're ever gonna monetize this
Okay.
better help session.
All right, you're
Um,
right.
I'm not really saying that. Don't take any
Oh, you're
offense.
I'm taking it to heart.
Colin is going to be I'm gonna be on his people to kill list this week.
No, no, I'm gonna be. It's encouraging me to be more
No,
militant in my.
it was yes. You need to show a little bit more like like channel Andrew Tate and what he would tell you to do.
You're right,
Yeah, like
and
Jocko
you're
Willink or
basically the same
something.
person as Andrew Tate. So
Yes, yeah. Me and Andrew are like neck. Sometimes I hear him and I think, whoa, didn't I just tell Colin this? But what I want to say is that I was reading an article from Mark Cuban said that he no longer endorses Trump because he got to know him. But what I wanted to, the comment I wanted to take out of there, a quote of his was that he said back originally when he first ran, he kind of wanted to support him just because he was the underdog. And I think that that's kind of what you were saying about that populist outsider, um, just that allure. He had that allure of somebody that was taking on the establishment. And also too, I think Hillary Clinton is a totally different candidate. I mean, for a lot of people, she's like a demonic force. Like she is like a witch. And
yeah,
I feel like she just is a very unbecoming, unfriendly character. Whereas she reminds you of like
condescending.
a condescending, nasty librarian that you didn't like in the first place, that, you didn't like do the bibliography correctly. So they like threw out your paper or something. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
she's gonna
saying? You didn't do the
write you a demerit
annotations.
for like talking to
Yeah.
your friend too
Yeah.
loudly. Yeah,
Exactly. She had that energy, whereas Kamala does not have that energy in the slightest.
she's got that wine mom energy.
She
She's got
does. Yeah.
that, like if you were at like TGI Fridays, you would see her at the bar there, slugging back a few martinis or something, and like the thought would like kind of cross your mind, like, can I pick up her? I could probably pick up her, I bet. And you almost like want to approach. She's got that kind of energy, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't give me a lot of like, I don't feel a lot of confidence in her. I don't really feel that. So I can understand that. But Trump, a lot of people, especially normies, don't really put a lot of confidence in him either. And I think what we have right now in this 2024 Trump campaign is we have a lot of the name calling that was more charming when it was new in 2016, and now it's just like you said, it's not coming from an when he first did it in 2016, it was just wild. It was a spectacle. It was enthralling because tied with that name calling and kind of like that bullying was also a lot of true talk, right? Like there was a lot of like real talk that politicians had just given us a lip service for the last hundred, forever. They'd always given us lip service. And here we have this guy who's like, hey, that's what I think's going on. I think that, yeah, he's making a lot of sense. Like, yeah, why do the billionaires not have to pay like I pay? Like, yeah, he is making a good point. Who cares if he made fun of Jeb Bush? He is a little weird. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
you didn't really, you're like, okay, yeah, he called Rosie O'Donnell a dog face. Like, that's fine.
a fat pig,
Yeah.
a slob.
He was like, maybe we need a little bit more of that. But you kind of excused it because it was so new and it was so fresh and it was so refreshing to hear somebody telling the truth for once after being just, you had Mitt Romney who looks like he's from Central Casting just feeding you a bunch of lines. You know what I'm saying? So like finally you have this guy who's like, all right, he's a little rough around the edges. The other aspect that Trump had going for him is we all knew him. We all knew Donald Trump.
We
He had
grew up with
become,
him
yes, everybody grew
in
up with
on
him.
television, in
Yes.
film. Home
Yeah, so
Alone
he
2, he's nice
yeah.
enough to show young Kevin McAllister where the lobby is
And
in the Trump Plaza Hotel.
And even though there's a lot of questionable history there, I believe for most people, like listening back, like sometimes I'll catch clips of old radio or old television or a book, and you really see that synonymous with American success was Donald Trump. Like he was, if you go back before 2012, like he was always projecting, and in a lot of people's minds he was the ideation of like the American dream and prosperity and living it big and rich. And you see like these rap songs and just all these different just people talking about him here and there, so many times people referencing him just as that personification of that. For a lot of people, that's pretty alluring to like see somebody like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to be a success like that
Just the
guy.
name Trump, like you
Yeah.
picture just wads of $100 bills
Yeah.
just like stacked up on a table. That's like the imagery that just the name evokes.
And yeah, is absolutely. So now we have like a lot of the name calling without really the outsider appeal like he had before. And I feel like we also have a little bit more of a subdued candidate, which would be good in some ways, but I feel like he's not projecting his messaging correctly. I don't think it was wrong for him to go to that Chicago event. I thought that there were some people that disagree, but I thought it was interesting. I thought he got a lot of applause. He got a lot of laughter. He's
It's one of
making
the
some
most
inroads.
interesting things he's done as
Yes,
of
yeah.
late, quite
Yes,
frankly.
I completely agree with you about that, but I feel like he is just kind of and next to Kamala, a lot of his insults just kind of fall flat and they seem very childlike and immature. It's starting to kind of it's there's a thing in literature called dramatic foil. So people, it's two characters and how they play against each other, how they bring out different characteristics. And you see this in real life. Like you have friends that you might talk to, or you're like your cousin, it brings out like your funny side or your whatever, like it brings out different aspects of your personality. And it also it illuminates them for people. And it's kind of the same thing that we're seeing with Trump. When he was going against Biden and Clinton, it was going against this like old guard, stale Democrat Party, boring, like we said before, like the old evil librarian, nasty librarian that you didn't like. It was a stickler. And he seemed fun. He seemed fun at the time. And now we're kind of seeing him in a different Kamala and Walz give a different illumination. They give a different foil for him, and he's got to kind of recalibrate how he communicates, which is very difficult when you're Donald Trump. But have you seen people out there on X saying that they think he doesn't even want to win, like that he
Yeah,
doesn't?
and that's kind of the
What do you?
vibe I'm getting as well
Okay.
too. Like, man, does this guy, is he even still like into this at this point? Was this all about beating Biden? Was this all about
Or
beating him
DeSantis?
specifically to to right the wrong that happened in 2020? And to kind of get into what you had referenced earlier, Karen, this Groiper War 2 that's starting on Monday. Really, the one person who has been calling him out consistently, who has been calling this campaign out, not necessarily Trump, but the campaign, and talking about how the messaging is off and how much the campaign just flat out sucks, has been Nick Fuentes. And listen, I understand that that name evokes a lot of feelings in certain people. It has a lot of connotations. If you're reading mainstream print, you're going to see words like white supremacist and neo-Nazi attached to his name. I feel like saying that you agree with certain points that he makes or that you listen to him is actually becoming uh, more mainstream in a sense. Like it's okay to say now that you listen to him and that he makes good points. He's on Rumble now. Elon
He's on
Musk let him
X.
back. Yeah, Elon Musk let him back on X, and he is like basically the leader of the far right at this point, as far as I'm concerned. And he is starting this movement on Monday to basically say, like, listen, there needs to be a major shakeup in this campaign, or else you're headed for a major loss in November.
Yeah.
And the big change up that needs to happen, Trump's campaign advisors, Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles, they gotta go. They gotta go, because I feel like they're just giving him such poor advice. Like, did you see Trump attacked Joe Rogan on Truth Social recently, all because Joe Rogan said that he liked RFK Jr. on a
Yeah.
recent
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah. Like, why are you, but here's the issue. I'm gonna, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit about the advisors. Trump's personality is a narcissist. He is a malignant narcissist. It's just the truth. Maybe I won't, I'm not, okay. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an expert. And I don't know Donald Trump
You're
Jr.
my
Trump.
therapist.
Yes. This has actually been a BetterHelp session. Thank you. But, so, okay. I don't know Donald Trump, so I can't completely emphatically say that. I'm not a clinical therapist. So I cannot emphatically say that either, but I think we all know, we can kind of see that there's narcissistic tendencies to him. And having been somebody that's worked closely with an individual that has similar characteristics and proclivities that Trump has, I will say that a lot of times those people are calling their own shots. They're calling the shots. Trump decided to make that Truth Social post himself. His campaign probably did not want him to post that. And I
Hmm.
feel like what people need to understand about yes men is that these people just get so beaten down by just trying. They speak up and they speak up and they speak up, and at the end of the day nothing changes, and they just want to go eat dinner. Like, they don't, it's not really because they want to yes people to death and kiss their butts. I mean, there are people that are like that, but I feel like the real nature of a yes man or poor advising like this comes because these people are so, like Trump, he is so he cannot take any feedback. He cannot take any constructive criticism because of his own ego. It's his greatest, he is his, you know, anti-hero, but like, we are greatest enemies, and his greatest enemy is himself. It's his own ego. So I feel like he might have people in his campaign that are trying to put him on the right path, trying to give him feedback, trying to tell him where the population and the voters really are. But at a certain point, you just you get out of touch because you're so clouded. Your judgment is so clouded by your ego. And you see that. Like, why go after Joe Rogan? Well, he can't help it. He can't help doing that. And I'm sure his staff cringed and they rolled their eyes and they were like, "Oh God, I can't believe he
See,
did that."
I feel like there's an element of the fox being in the hen house here, though. I really
Okay,
do.
go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
And
I feel like the fox is Donald Trump's own ego, but go ahead.
no, I listen. I agree with you that Trump can be his own worst enemy, but I think the main problem here is that Trump isn't being
Guided
allowed to
properly.
be Trump. I feel like he's leaning on these people too much. Do you know that these campaign advisors, LaCivita and Wiles, these people were calling for him to be indicted after January 6th?
How in the world did they end up? Now, I will say that like I said, I do feel like that is Trump's greatest challenge. I'm not saying that there is a chance that the campaign itself does not want to win. Like, they perhaps don't want to win. That could be, there could be an element of that. There is, I I also think for a lot of them it's in their own self-interest to win the White House. And I do not think, I completely 100% reject that Donald Trump does not want to win. I cannot. It goes against everything we know about Donald Trump.
I
There
agree
is
with you.
no way, even if he's, you see the guy, he wants to win. There's no way just gets up one day and decides, I don't want to win anymore. Like, no, he wants to win. Even if it's not about actually being the president, it's about winning. It's about coming out on top. And really, I feel like for him, he understands that he lost that. He was a one-term president. And I'm sure he remembers when that was a big talk about George H.W. Bush back in the day. Oh, please God, don't make me be a one-term president. And he was. So for somebody like Donald Trump, he's getting up there in age and he's thinking to himself, is my legacy going to be that I'm a one-term president? He's trying to grasp that golden ring. Like, he's trying to get back to prominence, get back to glory so that he goes out on top. And he's going to not stop until he does. So I can't agree with people that. So now, how do we enlist in the Groyper War too? How do we become soldiers?
So, well, listen, here's what I'm advocating for. I agree with the sentiment that Nick Fuentes is putting out there, that something needs to be done immediately. Something needed to be done yesterday in regards to a major shakeup within this campaign. I am encouraging everyone out there, get a burner email, sign up for Truth Social, sign up for X, and basically express your discontent with the messaging of this campaign. Express your discontent. Hashtag fire Las Avita. Hashtag fire Wiles, because that's what needs to happen. He needs to fire both of those people. And quite honestly, I I feel like another crucial element of this is he's got to dump Vance. He's got a dumb Vance. Nobody likes this guy. The only people who I am seeing that say that they think this guy is good are like these online conservative influencers who are being paid to shill for the campaign, and like boomers from the villages. Like, that is it. I don't think he's popular. I don't think he's connecting. He's got to dump Vance, and he's got to bring on Tulsi Gabbard immediately. He's got to bring on Tulsi Gabbard immediately, because I mean, I still don't understand. Well, no, I do understand. I'm sure that he took the advice from his advisors telling him that Vance was the best choice. And, oh, no, don't pick Tulsi because she used to be a Democrat and that's bad optics. And people will accuse her of being a Democrat plant or something like that. So you got to go with Vance. See, that's what I mean. I feel like he's listening to people too much, Karen. He needs to go with his instincts. He needs to cast these
Yeah.
RNC, Republican establishment out. Steve Bannon should be running this
Yes.
entire
Yes.
campaign from prison. That is the key to success. Hashtag fire Wiles. Hashtag fire Las Avita. Hashtag hire Bannon. How about
Hire ban,
that?
hashtag hire Bannon. We should get that started.
We
Hashtag
should.
hire Bannon from prison, run the show. My thought about, so I wanted to say we would love to hear from our listeners, but Colin and I wanted to share that we noticed that a lot of podcasts and a lot of shows and a lot of commentators don't really ever address when they make an incorrect prediction, or maybe they get something wrong. Like, nobody retracts anything they say. And we did want to mention that we both, so the word, we are not at the DNC yet. That's in a couple weeks, but it's looking like Kamala and Walz will be the candidates. And you know, I thought Gavin was going to be the guy. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, and you thought Michelle Obama, but it's looking like
I thought it was
we
going to
might.
be Big Mike as the president, Big Mike as the president, and then Gavin as the VP. I really thought that was the most. I thought that they needed that, honestly, and boy was I wrong. It turns out all they had to do was just get Biden
Swap.
to step down. You got wine mom, semi-attractive wine mom, cackling Kamala. Just put her in there. Find a quirky white-haired guy, who's
Looks like
kind of
Warren Buffett.
yeah. You said he
Wears
looks like Warren
camo.
Buffett. it turns out that that was the only thing that needed to be done to inject energy into the Democrats' campaign. And it's just, it's really, I think about. Could you imagine, once Officer Harris gets in there, like, could we even handle could the world handle what do you think's going to happen in the next 4 years once she takes that oath of office? Like,
I just, I don't know if we're ready. I guess just buckle up. Who really? I don't know. I also sometimes wonder about Trump though too, because he sometimes like alarms me a little bit.
oh
So
yeah,
like you said, it's I don't have a crystal ball and I can't really say for sure. But like I said, I do just want to say, and I want to know from our listeners, who did you think would be the candidates? I would love to hear. Do you think that Trump should swipe? Tell us in the comments. Should Trump swap Vance? If he should, who should he swap for? Should it be Tulsi? One of the reasons I didn't think he would pick Tulsi is because back to the ego thing. I thought maybe he thought Tulsi would kind of outshine him a little bit, take
she
away some of.
probably would at this
Yes,
point, quite
yes, yeah,
honestly. I mean,
and I don't know how much being a different gender he would feel about that, but I'm not like, do you understand the competition there? But I feel like no matter what, she was very popular. That might kind of ruffle his feathers a little bit, but yeah, so we thought Gavin was going to be. I thought Gavin. You thought Michelle. Which, like I said, we're not at the DNC yet, but I want to hear from you in the comments. Who did you think was going to be the Democratic nominee for president? Were you surprised about Walz? Like, just let us know where you're
I
at
was
with
surprised
this.
about
And
Walls.
I was completely surprised about Walz. I had no idea. Was like Pink Floyd the wall. Like, what is this? Like, I
Do you think that Fetterman put the kibosh on the whole Shapiro thing? Do you think that
our
America's
boy.
favorite senator
I know. And
played a
I
part in
know
that?
last week we thought that Shapiro was going to be the not like we thought that that was like a shoe in. Everybody was talking that. Um, I hope so. I hope that I'm kind of bummed that Fetterman's not the pick. Like, how fun
Trump
did that?
should swap out Vance for Fetterman.
Fetterman.
Quite frankly, now that's a way. That's a way to get some energy back into this fledgling campaign.
Yeah, you're
Get
absolutely right. Can you
Big John in
imagine
there,
the
you
two of them rolling
with,
in?
with his gang tattoos. That's how you turn this into a party again.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say Fetterman has grown on me. I really was not a
Same.
fan, but now I don't know what it is. He's become like an enigma. I just like anybody that just like he said, because I think everybody expected him to vote one way and now he's kind of upset a lot of people on the left. And I don't know. I like when people kind of they
Go
they
against the
go
grain.
their own path. Yeah. They cut
He's
their own
saying
path.
Trump's going to win Pennsylvania still. Fetterman. He's insisting on
Interesting.
that.
He's endorsing him.
Yeah, basically, he's endorsing Donald Trump to win Pennsylvania.
I wonder how Slop feels about it. Just for anybody who doesn't know, Slop is Giselle Fetterman, second lady, formerly second lady of Pennsylvania. She identified herself as Slop. So I have always, will always affectionately refer to her as Slop here and after. But
That
yeah,
could
I
be our
did.
first lady someday.
Yes, I don't know if there was anything else. We do need to get into the horoscopes. We wanted to talk about I just said I think we did address the one comment that was talking about how good the Fat Boy sandwiches are, and too good. I absolutely agree with Lisa. She's completely right. Lisa, that was excellent. Honestly, I didn't eat it all, and I'm thinking about just having another one, like straight from the freezer afterwards, as a little treat. I need a little
Yeah, you
treat.
need a little treat, especially after this grueling episode that we've done here.
Yes,
And
and I think that so I believe we had from Mary Ann. She asked last time if I had ever seen JD Van. I think it was a week before if I'd ever seen the movie on Netflix of Hillbilly Elegy, and I did. I thought Glenn Close was pretty phenomenal. I thought the movie itself wasn't like excellent, like the directing, Ron Howard, not very good. Like there was something not quite right about it, but I did enjoy the book. So I do have to we know I'm a fangirl for Hillbilly Elegy, even if we're not really
I
fans of JD himself.
one other thing I just want to throw out there really quick. I also feel like the his best-selling book and his Netflix movie, I mean, this was all kind of manufactured by Silicon Valley in preparation for a political career. I don't feel like it was organic at
Yeah.
all
Yeah. I
whatsoever.
Yes, I really did have like a Matrix moment when I realized that I think I added like on the show a couple weeks ago where it occurred to me. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who gave me the book. And I said to him, Wait, did this book just come out kind of like Obama's book? Like when I read his book, it was just so that, oh, I'm familiar with this person and I feel comfortable with this person. I have this whole narrative. It's as if I put a book out now and ran for president in 8 years, which I plan to do because I've been inspired by Kamala and her lack of talent and really any visible, well, not visible, because we did agree she's kind of good looking. So
I'd rather hang out
any
with her than JD Vance, quite honestly. You know, I
you're kind of right. You're kind of I heard though that she's like really nasty to her staff. But hanging out and being staff are like, you're not the help at that point. You're just
Yeah,
hanging
I
out.
I just mean like sitting at like the Fridays or Chili's bar with her and having like a few margaritas or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
Now, I thought that there was a comment about, yes, also he picked Vance because it shows Americans that it's okay to look into a person and change your opinion about him. He proves you don't need to be stuck in your idea of who you think someone is. Lisa said last week about Vance, about Trump picking Vance, because I believe I noted that I was surprised because he had made so many really nasty comments about Trump in the past.
Yeah, very
Um
very big
yeah,
anti-Trumper.
yeah. But like she said, I mean, perhaps on an optimistic note, maybe Trump just realized that he'd kind of come around to him and there was some metamorphosis on Vance's part. But like you said, I think for a lot of people, he's kind of falling flat. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe people can let us know in the comments and
I agree
see,
with
are
Lisa's
you
sent.
Vance or no Vance
I
or
I
whatever?
I I thank Lisa for the fat boy comment number one, and for
Yes.
also the comment about Vance
Oh,
because I do agree with her that it
yeah.
is possible to develop a new opinion about someone
Like Tulsi
like we have.
Gabbard.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen people go through a pretty big political change from 2020 or from 2016 up until now in terms of the way they look at Donald Trump, because there were like a lot of more, let's say, liberal-leaning people who did initially buy into the propaganda from the corporate press that Donald Trump was this Hitler 2.0 and he's a fascist and he's a dictator and a threat to democracy and
And there were
yada yada yada.
conservatives that
Hmm.
thought this guy is
Sure.
terrible, appalling. He's just in it for himself. His policies are going to be terrible. And then you had a lot of conservatives kind of come around and say, "Oh, well, you know what? Actually, he did not that he got everything done, but he did kind of follow through and head in that direction and kind of stick to some of those items that he
Sure.
got on the campaign
Yeah.
trail." Yeah.
So Lisa, yes, that is possible. I agree.
Yeah.
However, here's the deal. Karen's laughing because it always goes back to like me like going after Vance. But no, seriously, here's the deal.
You just
He
don't like the eyes. We get it. We
Va-
make you uncomfortable.
I'm not a big fan, guys. No. No, seriously though. Vance, he changed his opinion in preparation for the Senate run financed by Peter
Yeah.
Thiel because he needed the Trump endorsement. Vance and Peter Thiel actually went to Mar-a-Lago together on a pilgrimage to meet with Trump to kind of smooth things over in order to get Trump's endorsement for JD Vance's Senate run. And 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 I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, if I was almost assassinated on live television, my VP pick would be somebody who never at any time called me the American Hitler, somebody who has been loyal right from the get-go. I'm not taking any chances if I was
Yeah.
almost assassinated. So just
And
food
I
for
think we
thought there.
know there was another Mar-a-Lago visit where two individuals did attend and they were always in Trump's favor. And those two people are Ye and Nick Fuentes. And
Yep, and they're
I don't know if they're
disavowed now.
eligible. They're disavowed.
They are disavowed. So that's another theme with Trump that frustrates me. The loyalists ultimately get disavowed, and the snakes and the weasels and the backstabbers get promotions and cabinet
Well,
positions. And let's
is that because the loyalists are telling him are kind of holding his feet to the fire? Like they're saying, no,
yeah,
this is what you said. This is what the
this is
movement was
America
about.
first.
This is what the movement was about. This is where we were. This is what it's supposed to be. And they're critical in some ways, in a healthy, like I said, a feedback sense, not necessarily, not from like a leftist. And like you said, some of the other people are just kind of like a go along, get along, and they're not gonna, okay, yeah, let's just, that's what it's about now. That's fine. That works. Okay, sure. So I don't know, but I do know it is time to read some important horoscopes because Collin is, we are almost in basic witch season, which is what we affectionately call the Halloween season, really the beginning of fall.
It starts September
So
1st
kids,
for all
September,
intents and
yes, yeah.
purposes.
Pretty much Labor Day is like full swing. Like the kids are back in school. You feel a little bit crisp air, not where Colin's at in Florida, but where I'm at in Pennsylvania, where we have the beautiful four seasons. And I completely agree. Like I was just debating. So I know, back to little treats. Like I was debating like getting these pumpkin candles because this is what gets me through life at this point. I understand the basic people. I'm like, you know what? Give me my stupid coffee, give me my Americano and cold foam and my little pumpkin decorations, and all's well with the world. Okay. And my little treat, my little fat boy, little comfort monster, sit there, veg out on the couch, and all's well with the world. And that's pretty much how it's going to go. We're all going to get into the pods and just enjoy virtual reality because it's
Put
going
on
to be
some
better
old
than a
Art Bell
hellscape
coast to coast
outside. Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah, exactly. But so we are bringing a little basic witch all year long with a reading of some important horoscopes. We always look to the expert astrologer, Sally Brompton. I don't know anything about her, actually. I just know
She
that she's.
advised many former popes actually in their tenures as I'm just making that up. I have no idea who what Sally's
Yeah.
background is, but
So we have our Libra, Miss Kamala Harris, Vice President, Madam Kamala Harris. For today, August 11th, 2024, here's her horoscope for being a Libra. There is an air of excitement and expectation about your life at the moment, and it will increase rapidly over the next few days. The upcoming union of Mars and Jupiter in the most adventurous area of your chart will see you at your very best.
very relevant. DNC upcoming. Energy is at an all-time high. August is her month. She owned August. August is hers.
Like me and you, because we're August babies.
Yeah, we we have that in common with Kamal. We're just owning this month.
We're just owning this month. Not really. We're just sitting around our pajamas eating fat boys.
Pretty much.
Pretty little treats. All right. For Donald John Trump, for he's a Gemini, just for people that want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. You may be in the mood to get things done, but the earlier you start and the later you finish, the more likely it is you will exhaust yourself. So be sensible and know when to take a break. Balance periods of intense activity with periods of relaxation.
Hmm. Interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that one because I feel like he needs to really kind of strike right now immediately. He's got to strike. He's got to introduce some sort of new
That sounds like
some
something to get us demonetized, although we're
I,
not
I
demonetized.
mean that politically, strike politically in terms of putting maybe announce some new policy positions. Maybe instead of trying to out left Kamala, which I feel like is what he was initially doing with the whole no tax on tip things, which Kamala just stole. I don't know if you saw
Yeah, I
that.
saw that
Yeah.
she now supports that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like
anything from the left,
next.
she's gonna steal. So therefore, you need to appeal more to your right wing base, maybe your far right wing base, and maybe get a little bit hardcore in terms of the immigration policy. I feel like we don't hear about that enough. I feel like when was the last time you heard talk of a wall? 2016 maybe.
Walls, just Governor Walls. That's
Yeah,
about
yeah, Governor Walz.
Governor
But
Walls. Yeah, not like the wall.
yeah. Where's our 30-foot concrete border wall that we were promised? So
Yeah, that
he needs
Mexico's
to,
supposed to pay for.
yeah, that Mexico is exactly. He needs in instead of trying to out left Kamala, inject some more right wing policies into this campaign, and I feel like that is going to be a recipe for reviving this fledgling campaign that we are in the midst of. But that's just one uh, man's opinion, and what's my opinion really worth, Karen?
Yeah. What are our opinion? Yes. Well, our opinions on the Fat Boy do matter. And the Fat Boy ice cream sandwich gets a seal of approval. You can get the junior, as I demonstrated earlier on the show. Only 110 calories, just a little mini treat instead of getting the big
Try the
one.
cookies and cream. I
Cookies.
want you to try the cookies and
I
cream.
definitely now I have 8 of these sitting in my freezer. So my husband does like ice cream, so I'm not sure how fast, but I will the next time I purchase them. I'm gonna get one of the crazier flavors. So a big seal of approval, and really that's all Collin and I are really informed or really have any expertise on is our little treats and doom scrolling. Like those are our two areas of expertise. So really, if the YouTube gods are out there, don't come at them. Most of what we say is frivolous and silly. We're just here for a good time, and that's I
We're
don't want
just
them
comfort
to.
monster
We're
doom
just
scrollers.
yeah,
When we envision our perfect our lives, we envision like walking out onto our patio, our
veranda.
lanai, our veranda. The beach is out there. We're sitting down with our hot mug of coffee. We have our phones. We're doing a little doom scroll. That's really all we want out of life. And I pray
Yeah.
that both of us get to do that on a more, shall we say, full time capacity.
Although we ultimately know we are going to end up in the ReEducation camp. So that's the
Yes,
goal.
Officer Harris, Madame President, is going to
Yes.
ultimately put us in there.
But if she
But
lets us doom scroll and eat fat boys, I mean,
yeah, if I don't have to clock in and there are still fat boys involved and some doom scrolling, I can't say that I would be completely opposed to. Oh well, and I would need to bring my cat too. That's another thing. So I don't know. We'll
like,
see.
is
We'll
there a
see what happens.
view? Is there going to be a view at this camp? Like, what are we talking? What are the accommodations?
Yeah,
We'll
I gotta
go.
know. Yeah, I'm looking for more like Disney like
Yeah.
accommodations, like Disney World kind of accommodations.
Do I have to log into a Zoom meeting or answer any emails? And they'll be like, no, prisoner 057, you will not have to answer any emails or go on any Zoom calls. I'll be like, you know what? Sign me up. I'm ready to go. Like, put me in the camp. Let's go. It
Thank
can't
you,
be any
Officer
worse.
Harris. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't want to read these emails anyhow. So,
Yeah, I don't want to open Outlook ever again. Well,
but
listen.
yes,
I
I will
guess
let
that's a
you.
wrap, huh, Karen? That's been a fun little
Yes. Yeah.
episode. Some food for thought here on,
Literal.
if yeah, literal food for thought. And like I said, if you are somebody who actually does want to see Donald Trump ultimately win, you think that we would be better off, for the love of God, get on Truth Social, get on X, hashtag fire Las Vida, fire Wiles, hire Bannon, And
Hashtag hire
yeah,
Bannon.
hashtag hire Bannon. Let's keep this energy up throughout the week. But also, please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on X, give us a like if you enjoyed this episode. Please give it the old thumbs up. We're also on Rumble too, so you can check us out on there. But that's all for today, and we're going to be back here same time, same place next week with more musings, more ramblings, and more fun on the Re-Education Camp podcast. We'll see you then.